Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on Rock My Bean. I am John, and I hope you're having a really good day today and a blessed day. And I'd like to bless you more with what we have today for Rock My Bean. My son Mark is not going to be with us for this episode. This is really just you and me. As you know, if you've been watching it all, I am a father of an autistic young man who's on the autistic spectrum, and he also loves music and he loves drums, and he's got talent and ability. And we created this video channel to help him, to let others know about the opportunities of drumming and percussion for autistic people with on the spectrum. And we know for a fact that the scientific evidence shows that drumming and percussion actually helps with certain cognitive problems. And it actually is a benefit, helps them to sometimes overcome certain things and improves their cognitive ability. So it's not just fun, it's not just a career, not just a skill, it actually is good for them. And so we want to encourage parents of children who have an interest in drumming and percussion to get into it, to really do it, because my son, without the right teaching, didn't go anywhere. And then I took over about when he was 19 years old because he really wasn't very teachable before then. And every day we have a drum lesson. And I started out very simply and worked our way up through complexity. It took a little longer for him than it would for neuronormals, but with patience and learning how to work with these individuals. And it can be a challenge. Don't misunderstand. There's nothing easy about it. In fact, it's harder to teach people on the spectrum than it is neuronormals. They generally take longer to remember. They have a certain problems with volume and tactile usage of their hands, hand-eye coordination, and other things as well. And we had to work through these, and there are problems that we can get through. But one thing about Mark is he has natural ability with timing. And even if you are a normal, if you don't have natural ability for timing, it's hard to teach someone drums. You can do it, it's just a lot more work. Unfortunately, with Mark, he already had that natural ability, which meant we could start moving quickly into learning how to play drums, not just learning how to stay on the time. So we began to teach Mark, and every day we have a drum lesson, and every 5 weeks he learns a series of songs, anywhere from 5 to 7 songs, and then he plays them for us. We call on our friends, we call on our family, and we have a good time. We make an evening of it, and he has to play these songs the way we learned them. And I grade him as his teacher. I've been playing for 50 years, so I've been teaching as well. So I've been teaching him, and he plays these songs for all of us, and he's graded like a student in class. And then we go over what he did, what he should have done, what he didn't do, etc., and he improves that. And after 2.5, almost 3 years, he has made an incredible amount of progress. I'm so proud and happy that he can do this. And after only 2.5, 3 years, he has made incredible progress, more than I did at his age when I had a lesson once a week. So with a daily lesson, or almost daily lessons for 2.5, 3 years, it's really done one. And that's how Mark is right now. And in this episode, we're going to be putting up 3 shorts of him playing in the last recital on the drum set of things that he wasn't doing before, to show you his abilities and his skills, and let you know that, look, just because he's autistic doesn't mean he can't be a good drummer, and he is. He's going to be a great drummer. And your child or yourself, if you're on the spectrum, don't let that hamper your desire to be a drummer and your ability. Believe me, if you got the talent and you got the desire and the drive, you can do it. And what we're doing here with Mark is proof of that. Now, I've been playing for about 50 years, and I've played in bands, and I played in the studio, and played different kinds of music. I can play just about anything you need me to play. And so I've taken all that knowledge, and I'm using it to help my son, and I also have other students, and been in playing. Now, this kit I'm going to show you my drum set that Mark and I use. I bought it, I got it from my dad in 1978 for a couple $1,000, and I was taking music seriously, so he thought I was worth the investment. And interestingly enough, I still use the shells from those rack toms and the floor toms today. They're that good. And I'll get into all that when I get to the tour of the drum set. But I want you to watch some of the shorts we're doing with Mark, some of the shorts showing his fills that he's learned. And to give you some inspiration and let you know where Mark is and how he's doing. And he's not just tapping along, he's actually making a lot of progress. And we're going to keep doing this during the show so you can see for yourself. And as I said, working with autistic people can be different and can be difficult and challenging, but it is worth it if they have the ability, the talent, and the desire. And do not let that stop you. All right then. Well, thank you for joining us in this one. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and we're going to do a tour of the drum set. And if you got any questions or comments, please leave them below. And as always, I want you to like and subscribe. Click the thumbs up button. We need to get more subscribers. We're getting more viewers, but we need more subscribers. So don't forget, you need to subscribe. And if you want to share it, please share it. The algorithm likes sharing, so I really encourage you to do that. Well, let's see what we got. Mark, show us what you got. And hello everybody. I thought today, before we show you a few clips of my autistic son playing drums, I'm going to show you the drum set that we're using, the drum kit that we both use. And for a while we were using an electronic V-drum, Roland V-drum set when I was teaching him from the beginning a couple years ago. And the reason was I could control the volume, and because he's autistic, he has a problem with sensory issues, particularly volume. He's got a very loud voice, and he tends to hit things too hard, and he tends to pour too much milk into his cereal and that sort of thing. It's one of the issues of his spectrum challenges. Anyway, so I had an electronic V-drum set, and I've been using it for the last couple of years because I can control the volume with a knob and concentrate on his technique and on his learning how to play. And so we've been doing that. Now we've decided after a couple of years, by 2.5 years, almost 3, maybe going on 3 years, to cut him loose from that and to send him to the acoustic drum set, where he's going to have a control over his own volume and learn more subtleties of playing. He tended to want to hit hard, and he still does, but I've been working with him to try to control his stick velocity and something he has to think about as a drummer. And so he's starting to do that, and this kit will help him to have more of a tactile feel for the drums themselves rather than just playing. And as good as electronic drums are today, they still don't quite get to the place of actual acoustic drums. And the subtleties and the beauty of an acoustic set and the details involved in maintaining a set and tuning it and playing it with a wide variety of sounds available in acoustic format that a digital recording just cannot touch. Now this set is my original set I had in 1978. My dad bought me my first set. I was a junior in high school, and I was going to play in a church group, and I needed a better drum set than the used one, the used Gretsch gold swirl that I got when I was about 12 years old. And so my father bought me a new Slingerland 7-piece drum set. And I played that drum set for many years, and finally, after about 20 years, after adding on stuff, the bass drum finally gave out, and I needed new hardware, and so I just started building a new set around the old one. And now the only original survivors of that 7-piece Slingerland drum set from 1978 of the floor tom, or the floor toms and the rack toms. Now this set only has 3 rack toms instead of 4. There was a fourth one, there still is, but I never really used it much. There wasn't room because I wanted to add some other things to the kit. So what we have here is a sort of Frankenstein set. We have a Tama 21-inch bass drum with birch shells. Now all these toms have 3-ply maple shells, and they have an excellent tone and sound. And we got the whole set for about $2,000 in 1978. I went to the factory and actually picked out what I wanted. And so it's still a terrific drum set. But I had to put new hardware on for the most part and rebuild it, but keeping the old shells and some of the old hardware. So the bass drum is new, and the cymbals are all new except for the hi-hats and the ping ride cymbal. They actually came along with the set. So the ping ride cymbal and the rack toms are all original Slingerland 1978 issue. Now this is built on a Gibraltar frame. When I was doing professional drumming and playing in bands in the 80s, and even later on in some of the late 90s and 2000s, I got the Gibraltar rack system because it was just easier than hauling around a lot of stands. A lot of the old stands had gotten bad and rusty and corroded and bent. And to buy the newer stands weren't up to the spec. A lot of them were kind of rickety, and I just didn't like some of the material, some of the ways they were being built. So I bought the Gibraltar rack system and really pleased with it. It's heavy, but once you get it all locked in place with memory locks, everything goes where it's supposed to go. So setup for playing out was much easier. Now, when I played out for the band, I didn't include this entire kit. I would slim it down so I could fit it in the back of my hatchback. And it was a lot easier to tear it down and set up for me after playing for 3.5 or 4 hours. But this would be my total set. This is pretty much my total set. Everything I have is here. This is what we work with. I also teach other students, and they use more or less this set. Now, we're going to walk around, and I'm going to show you some of the details of this set. The graphics on the toms are from my last band. It's got my initials and then our band logo, Wild Eye. And so you can see that on the shells. I worked at a sign graphic company, and I made my own decals for my drums. But the shells are still in really good condition. They're a little on the creamy side, not so much bright white anymore. You can't really see it with the phone, with this camera, but they're in great condition and they sound great. Most of the hardware is probably somewhere between 20 and 15 years old. I don't use any of the old 1978 Slingerland hardware anymore. I've also combined some of my V-drums with this for triggers and special sounds. I have the Roland bass drum down here that I use. I have one of the pads over right here I use for gongs or cowbell. Back there is another pad right there alongside the Roland V-drum drum machine. So I also have some foot pedal triggers too with pre-recorded music that I can hit and start playing to. It's also good for teaching others. So we're going to move around. I'm going to show you this drum set and how it looks. Let's take a look at the set. Let's start with the cymbals. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cymbals. I have a few more tucked away, but these are the ones I use. These are the original 1978 Zildjian medium hi-hats, okay, 12-inch. This is a 1985 pasty 16-inch fast crash. It still works great, sounds great, has a unique sound to it. I like it. It's a fast decay, so it's great when I'm working with the hi-hat and the snare. Then I have two of these Zildjian Custom A medium crashes, which have a nice long decay and cut through. I have one here and I have one over here that cut through the sound. And then I have my Zildjian Custom A 20-inch crash cymbal right here. Now I also have a small 8-inch Sabian splash gong cymbal here for special effects. I have a Zildjian ZBT fast crash here, about a 10-inch small one. I have my China Type 18-inch pasty China Type 3000. It's about 20 years old. And this is the original 1978 issued Avita Zildjian Ping ride cymbal that I got with the original kit, with these original toms and of course this hi-hat. Now the hardware is almost all new except for the lugs, and the rims are new, the lugs and the shells are original. The other hardware is all new, it's all come later. This is a DW5000 hi-hat stand. I use Iron Cobra double bass drum pedals. This is an electronic foot hi-hat pedal, but I use it as a trigger to kick off samples, turn on music samples, shorts, different sound effects. I use the V-drum bass drum for the same thing, but my son, because he has autistic son, has a problem with volume and hitting the bass drum too hard for certain kinds of songs like swing music and light rock. We use this as his bass drum so I can adjust the volume. And let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, and these are the Remo Rototoms I've had since about 1983, I believe. And they still in great condition. Love to use them. Here are my original 4 Slingerland 3-ply maple toms. The 3 rack toms and the floor tom. Now I have another tom that I don't use. It's a 8-inch, but it's packed away. I haven't used it in quite some time. I kind of go to the road toms for the smaller toms for that. This is my Tama 21-inch bass, which replaced the original Slingerland bass, which was narrow in depth. This is a newer, that drum took a beating, so I had to buy a new one, and here it is. So it goes well with the white, the red bass drum, and the white with the red logos on the shells. And when I was playing out, I didn't have a lot of amplification. I wasn't mic'd. So I needed to be able to cut through the band. And so I bought cymbals and I bought a snare drum that did that thing. It's a 10-inch Piglight acrylic shell snare. And this puppy cracks through anything. You can cut through any band with this snare. It's cutting. And yeah, they know you're there. And no matter how hard these guys are playing, if they're rocking out, you can hear my snare. And I wanted that because the other snare I had just didn't have the punch that I needed for playing live. Well, that's about it. I have, let's pull this back up again. I have the trigger here, put on my V-drums I use for like gong, cowbell, whatever sound effect I want when I'm playing. I also have one right here. And of course I have my floor triggers. This is my, see if I can rotate the phone, there we go. This is my Roland TDW drum machine, which came with the V-drum set. I got about 15 years ago. I can't record samples and put on it. It's a little earlier than that, the models that came along that could do that. But it's got a lot of stuff on here already on board. It's got a lot of sampled looped sequences that you can practice with or play with. It's great for teaching. Love this thing. And so even when I'm not using electric set, I do like to use elements of that with the acoustic drum set to give me some extra flexibility. Rather than having a cowbell, I can just switch the cowbell and turn it into a gong or whatever I need. Really like doing that. Plus I can put the headphones on. I can run the music from my phone or stereo into this machine, hear it through the headphones. I can also plug it into the sound system so everybody can hear what I'm hearing. So yeah, it's got a MIDI in and out, which is nice. Anyway, it's a great little device, and I love it. It really expands our ability to play. Well, this is my kit, folks. This is what we use. Mark and I both play with. And we just wanted you to get an idea what we're doing and how we're doing it. And if you have any questions about the kit, and oh, and by the way, everything I said is on a Gibraltar rack. I have extra clamps and stuff that I use to attach things. If you look around here, and I'm going to sneak around here and see if I can give you guys a little bit of a view here. I mount, I have extra, I bought some extra bars here so that I can attach things a little closer to where you need to be. So I've got a lot of hardware here to make this thing work. Oh, and also the rack toms are mounted on these floating hoops. Now this one didn't have the same kind. This has an Opti mount from Pearl. But the rest of these were, I believe, a Remo or Tama. I think they were Tama. And they do give the toms a more resonance because they're not screwed right into the rack. And I had to modify these toms to do that because they came with the old mounts on them that plugged right into your stand. But these do not. They vibrate. They've got a good resonance. And if I want to dampen them down, I can throw some Remo dampening rings around them like I have on this right here, if I need to do that. All told, this is the kit, and I just want to get you guys an idea of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so you can see, thanks for joining. And if you have any questions about this kit, questions about how we play it, any questions about hardware, I'd be glad to answer.